Hello, I'm Peter Coroneos from Cybermindz, and I'd like to express my gratitude for being part of SOC Analysts Appreciation Day. I want to thank Devo for their support of this community. I think it's incredibly important in this time where threats seem to be ever present and relentless that we stick together. We are certainly trying to play our part, but I think all of us are in this joint mission, this joint enterprise of trying to secure society, trying to secure networks, systems. And so it's never been more important, really, to build in human resilience as a critical aspect of what it is to be a SOC analyst in today's world. You might recall last year I joined you and we talked a little bit about the neuroscience of burnout and why we see SOC teams as particularly vulnerable. This year I want to continue on that theme and also bring a greater understanding of some of the observations that we're seeing as the threat environment continues. Particularly I want to focus on things like anxiety, hypervigilance, the inability to switch off, sleep disturbances, the necessary skills to actually return to a state of restoration and equilibrium and balance. Things that you could do quite naturally through some of the techniques that we share and I'll be in fact previewing with you today. Continuous exposure to high stress environments, long shifts and the need to stay ahead of evolving threats can lead to burnout, even before it's noticed. Yet it's easy to feel isolated, fatigued and overwhelmed by the sheer weight of responsibility that you carry. We've seen the toll it takes on mental health, but there is a way forward. We believe that embedding or instilling some of these resilience building aspects that are so necessary should be part and parcel of every working day. And whether it's micro practices like the breathing exercises or body scanning, or even 10-minute breaks where we take you through a cycle to bring you out of the hypervigilance in the mind and back into a center of clarity and calm. These things can be the magic ingredients that help you get through a day and just give you the capacity to step back from the situation. We find over time that people report greater clarity in decision making and just an increased and enhanced ability to switch off at will. So like any skill, it's something that needs to be practiced and developed, but I can assure you through the work that we've observed through the teams we work with globally, we're better able to create a new default state within you where you can return to this state of calm and clarity and ease at will. Today, when we do the short example practice, you'll be acquainted with a concept called the inner resource, or the inner resource of being and well-being. And this is a state that we try and bring about. We actually introduce you to the fact that it is even present now, even as I'm speaking. But it's something that we obviously lose track of because we start to get overwhelmed by the situation, by thoughts, by emotions, even beliefs like imposter syndrome. So the capacity to both identify and to easily access this inner state of psychological safety, or we call it a locus of control, is really fundamental. It's central to what we teach, and it's central to what we would term resilience for the 21st century. I'm going to take you through what we believe are the neurological or the brain impacts of each stressor, and why we believe the IREST protocol that we are bringing to cyber teams is likely to be effective in helping ameliorate or lessen some of the effects that you're likely to encounter by remaining in these roles. So let's begin with alert fatigue. We all know how draining it is to deal with an endless stream of security alerts, most of which turn out to be false positives. But neurologically, this constant flood of data overloads that part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. That's the part responsible for decision making and also attention control. When your brain has to filter through thousands of alerts, it can't maintain focus or make the kind of quick, accurate decisions that you need when the prefrontal cortex is in overload. The result is that a part of the brain, the main stress response system called the HPA axis, kicks in and it releases cortisol, which is the body's primary stress hormone. Now, over time, high levels of cortisol can actually impact another part of the brain called the hippocampus, which is where memory and learning occur. And so this means that alert fatigue isn't just mentally tiring, but it can also lead to long-term cognitive issues affecting, say, your ability to retain new information or to focus clearly on the task at hand. Moving to the ever-evolving threat landscape, which is another major stressor, you would know better than anyone that in cybersecurity, threats are constantly changing. And this puts your brain in a state of hypervigilance, forcing your amygdala, which is part of the fear center of the brain within the limbic system, into overdrive. Now, while this heightened awareness can be helpful in short bursts, staying in a prolonged state of vigilance exhausts the brain's emotional and cognitive reserves. The amygdala's constant activation makes it very difficult for the prefrontal cortex to engage in critical thinking and problem solving, leaving you mentally fatigued. So essentially your brain is stuck in survival mode, anticipating the next threat, which hinders its ability to think creatively or adapt to new challenges. Then there's the sense of emotional burden or the even dread that comes with the responsibility of securing sensitive data. In these high-stakes environments, the weight of knowing that one mistake could lead to a breach affects the limbic system, again, the brain's emotional center, and particularly the amygdala. And this dread increases the release of hormones called norepinephrine, or otherwise known as noradrenaline, and also cortisol. And again, the impact making it harder to recover from stress. Also, we observe a reduction in dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of reward and motivation. And so without dopamine, or with lower levels of dopamine, it does become difficult to find satisfaction in your work. And this in turn can lead to burnout. Another thing that you would be quite familiar with are the long working hours and the shift work, and these present another neurological challenge in the form of sleep deprivation. So sleep deprivation, or even a drop in sleep quality caused by irregular hours, again acts on the prefrontal cortex, which is the key for regulating emotions as well as for decision making. So sleep disruption affects the body's circadian rhythms. Those are the parts of the body's internal body clock. When you are out of alignment with the body's natural rhythms, day and night, and the inability to have deep, restful sleep, this can lead to a heightened sensitivity in the amygdala. And the result is that you may feel more irritable, anxious, or even in some cases prone to emotional outbursts. So without proper rest, the brain really can't process information effectively or recover emotionally, and this compounds over time. Another thing that we observe quite commonly in cyber teams, particularly post-COVID, is this sense of isolation. It's a growing issue for SOC teams, especially with the rise of remote work. And it's the lack of face-to-face interaction that can make you feel disconnected from your colleagues and also from your sense of purpose. Social isolation activates the amygdala, once again, this time increasing anxiety and reducing dopamine levels, which make you feel less motivated and more emotionally detached from your work. The brain thrives on social interaction for emotional regulation, and when that's missing, stress levels rise, leaving you feeling more alone in handling your responsibilities. So for those dealing with isolation, the IREST protocol provides an opportunity to cultivate a sense of inner connection, a sense of being connected more with a deeper part of yourself. So even if you're working remotely, IREST helps you develop a deeper connection with that part of you that never changes. And as a result, the amygdala-driven anxiety starts to back off and dopamine begins to rise again. So learning to regulate your own emotional state, you become less reliant on external social interactions to manage your stress. I'm not arguing here that this should therefore replace social connection, of course, but it does strengthen your ability to cope with isolation when it happens. So, how do we tackle these intense stressors? One highly effective approach, which you will have a demonstration of in a few minutes, is the IREST, or the Integrative Restoration Protocol. It's a attention training technique that helps you to integrate and process stress, ultimately leading to neurological restoration and actually increased resilience. So let's break down how IREST helps counter the effects of the 6 stressors that we've discussed. When dealing with alert fatigue, the brain is overstimulated and struggling to process an endless stream of information. IREST allows you to engage in deep relaxation by slowing the brainwave activities, and in turn, this activates what we know as the parasympathetic nervous system, or the body's rest and digest system. It's the counterweight, or the opposite of the flight and fight response. And so by immersing in these deeper states of rest, you get a counteraction of the overactivation of the HPA axis that we referred to, and cortisol levels start to come down. Over time, this practice helps restore the prefrontal cortex, and you'll see an improvement in focus and also decision making. Essentially, IREST gives your brain the break that it needs to recover so that you can filter out all the unnecessary alerts and prioritize and be attentive to those that matter most. As far as the ever-changing threat landscape is concerned, where the amygdala is constantly firing, IREST helps the brain back from hypervigilance into a state of calm. Through this sort of mindful awareness process, we start to observe thoughts and feelings without reacting to them. We call this the down-regulation, or the deactivation of the amygdala's stress response. And this allows the prefrontal cortex to start to then re-engage in higher order thinking, creativity, and also problem solving. Over time, you build resilience so that you can stay calm and focused even when threats evolve rapidly. Now, if we're concerned about the emotional burden or the toll that the sense of responsibility or dread may be impacting you and your work, IREST allows the brain to process these emotions in a safe, non-judgmental space, and this reduces the brain's emotional reactivity. So by fully experiencing and integrating the emotional weight that you carry, IREST actually helps reduce the release of stress hormones like cortisol and norepinephrine, and also at the same time increases dopamine. So this makes it easier to recover emotionally from stressful situations, leaving you feeling more empowered and less burdened by the fear of failure. For those of you dealing with long working hours and shift work, IREST provides a powerful tool for restoring the brain's circadian rhythms. By engaging in structured relaxation practices, your mind and body can start to achieve the rest that they need, even if you're not getting it from regular sleep. IREST helps recalibrate your amygdala's sensitivity, reducing irritability and anxiety. And so this kind of practice also helps the prefrontal cortex to recover, to heal, improving your emotional regulation and decision-making process during those long shifts. And finally, for anyone dealing with imposter syndrome, IREST helps by fostering a deep connection with your inner self, this inner resource of being and well-being, beyond the roles and expectations placed on you by others. Through the practice, you learn to identify and release self-doubt, which in turn reduces the activation of the HPA axis, and cortisol comes down as a result. Over time, IREST actually helps rewire the reward circuitry in the brain, restoring your sense of motivation and allowing you to appreciate your successes. And this creates a healthier, more positive feedback loop where you can start to trust in your capabilities once again and to embrace your role confidently. So just to wrap up here, in the long run, IREST not only helps you deal with the stressors that I've mentioned, but it also helps build long-lasting neurological resilience. The brain becomes better at switching from a stress state to a recovery state, meaning that you'll start to live and work from a place of psychological safety rather than from a place of chronic stress. And you'll find that you have more energy, greater focus, and a better ability to handle the challenges that come your way. So shortly we're going to actually do the iRest protocol, or at least experience a short demonstration of what it feels like to enter these deeper states of relaxation. When we do the full training at Cybermindz, you're actually mentored or guided through the 10 steps of the protocol. But today, I hope at least you'll get a bit of a taste for what it feels like to come back into a sense of greater emotional balance and equilibrium. So let's begin. Just sensing into the room. We're moving out of the busy mind now, and we're just moving back into just a simple awareness of whatever is unfolding in this moment. And just picking up any sounds that are around you, just letting them passively float into your awareness, not hanging on to anything. Observing any sensations in the body, sense of the heaviness, the density of the body as it rests on the surfaces providing support. Just tuning into any sensations of warmth in the body. Where do you feel warmth? Any sensations of coolness? What happens if you hold warmth and coolness together at the same time? And just release the sensations. Sensing into any light or shadow that's filtering in through your closed eyelids. And just allowing all those senses to just naturally, passively absorb in what's going on right now. Nothing to fix or change. Just happy to be present with what is. And just letting go all the cares, concerns, the thinking mind. Starting with an intention for today's practice. What is it that you'd like to see or feel, know, experience? Maybe as simple as just some rest, a bit of clarity or insight. Whatever it is that you feel might be useful, and then to bring that in as a felt sense throughout the body and mind. So feeling the intention into the body, taking it deep, and then releasing it into the subconscious. Just feeling that it's working its way already in the background. And reconnecting with a sense of mission and purpose when you can locate that. Feel into that. Affirm it as true in the moment. I am. Whatever the highest expression of your existence might be in this life, in the form of a contribution or relevance or meaning, whatever that might look like for you, and just affirm it as already done, already true now. And then the inner resource of being and well-being, just this place within you that already feels safe and secure and at ease. Feel it strongly. Just amplify its effect once you locate this deeper sense of okayness or well-being. Just affirm it, amplify it, acknowledge it, knowing that it's there for you anytime you need to feel this sense of ease, security, psychological safety. Moving through the body now, bringing awareness to the jaw, the mouth, sensations in the mouth, cheeks, ears, the eyes, sensing into the flow of air through the nostrils, awareness moving back up to the eyes, to the forehead, just feeling it as sensation, so sensing your way, not thinking your way up to the top of the head, feeling any sensations, the back of the head, back of the neck, throat, entire head, neck, face as a coherent field of sensation. Nothing to fix or change. Feeling into the arms, the entire left arm, from the shoulders down to the fingers. The entire left arm, entire right arm, shoulder to fingers, the entire right arm. And then both arms together at the same time. Sensations in both arms together as one. Feeling down into the torso, front, the back, the sides, internal organs, the entire torso as one. Down into the hips, the entire left leg from the left hip down to the toes, the foot, the entire left leg as sensation. Entire right leg from the hip down to the toes, foot, ankle, entire right leg as sensation. And both legs together now as one, as a unified field of sensation. The legs and the arms, the torso, head, neck, the entire body now, entire body as a coherent field of sensation. Tuning into the inner resource of being and well-being and bringing that in now. Just deeper, the deeper sense of just the inherent calm, secure ease, ever present, always available. Just something that you know you can return to at any time. Coming into the breath, feeling the movement of the breath as the air enters the nostrils, down into the lungs, cool air coming in, slightly warmer air going out. Just tracking the breath for a few cycles. You could even use words on the in-breath. Cool. On the out-breath, warm. Just alternating in that way. Notice what happens when you merge the sensations of coolness and warmth, stepping outside of the breath into awareness, that which is aware of the breath. Just observing the breath from this external standpoint, objective, independent, separate, all-pervasive awareness. Bringing in a sense of joy into the body, seeing if you can locate some part of you, if not joyful, at least what part of you that feels okay. If you can elevate it beyond okayness up to happiness, joy, whatever level you can reach, and then let it fill you completely. Maybe enabling a smile to form on your lips as you just surrender into joy, happiness, okayness. How does it feel when you allow that to permeate your body and mind completely? And then stepping outside of the joy into the field of awareness that perceives joy. The joy arising within awareness. The thoughts that arise in awareness. Images, memories, beliefs, sensations. All these things that arise, move through the field of awareness and then just dissolve away. But the awareness, expansive, unbounded, unchanging, already perfect. The awareness as your ultimate inner resource. Just spend some time as awareness, aware of itself. Take some time now to feel a little sense of gratitude rising up in you. Knowing the deeply healing and restorative power of gratitude that works at every level as you allow an amplification of a sense of gratitude to arise and spread throughout the body. Grateful for your life, grateful for this opportunity to rest, grateful for this opportunity to engage in your mission and purpose. And maybe weaving in a sense of intention now for going forwards, how you would apply these techniques and understandings and perspectives. Giving yourself the ability to restore balance, equanimity, confidence. Finding the pathway back to that other part of you, a deeper part of you that was always okay, carefree, beyond all of this tension, the pairs of opposites, good, bad, adequate, inadequate, secure, insecure, beyond all of that. What is there? And how you might apply and share these techniques with people around you that might also benefit. Supporting the team. Now we're going to start coming back to the waking state, bringing awareness back to the body. Maybe bringing some movement in, moving the toes, the fingers, taking a deep breath. Just taking a few minutes to come back. Just knowing now that you've got really effective methods to keep grounding you and returning you into this state as often as you need. So thank you for everything you do. We deeply recognize and appreciate the value of SOC teams. We're here to support you. We again thank Devo for their commitment to this sector, and also to those people around you, the team members that support you, your leadership, and even members of the family that do contend and effectively take some of the flack that arises from the difficult but critically important work that you do.